Hello and welcome to our 5 minutes with Russian poetry. I'm Ekaterina and today we will read together one of the poems of Vladimir Vladimirovich Mayakovsky. Vladimir Mayakovsky was born on the territory of present-day Georgia in 1893 and he was one of the most controversial poets because if you look at his life, some people are saying, okay, it's the person of his time. Some people are saying he is not good, he is not moral. Look at his poetries, and lots of poetries, they have just cursing words in there, and they kind of, you wouldn't read it to children, definitely. And so it's very controversial, and his poetry is quite kind of big, like he left a lot of poems. So some of them are really is not what you will read to the child, and I was even read when I was reading them today, just in order to find something to read together. And along with this, he had 2 poems for children. One of them we will read it. It's short spoiler. And they're so innocent, they're so good that I remember them from my childhood actually. So very controversial, as a person of his time, the person who welcomed the Russian Revolution, who was a socialist, who was a communist, and he was very passionate about it. The person who at the time in early 20s, he was a young man and he accepted the theory of the glass of water. I don't know if you know this theory, but it was like to have sex with somebody is the same thing as just to drink a glass of water. And this theory, it was so widespread during maybe 4 or 5 years that the government, they should just forbid it because so many young people just put it very indirect way. And his long-lasting love was Lilia Brick, and he dedicated her several poems. And she actually had a husband with whom he never divorced, and he was okay of this romance. And for sometimes they even lived together in the same apartment. So it's like when you look at the personality of Vladimir Mayakovsky, it's very controversial. There are plenty of people who hate him. There are plenty of people who love him. But the thing I want to tell is that he was so hardworking. Along with the poetry, he started his young age, maybe not career, but he studied painting. He could paint. He was friends with lots of painters. And here, as a poet, he established a new direction of the literature of the poetry called futurism in Russia. He was the first who started to do it, who were traveling, declaring his poems, who made the tour of poetry, like just new revolutionary poet. He was very about revolution, into revolution so much. He was just, we need to introduce the revolutionary poems, the new art to new people. Nothing would be as it used to be. And along with that, he was writing the scenarios, the scripts for the plays, and he was co-director of several plays. He worked with the actors. He told actors what to do, how they should play this piece or that piece. And then he was an actor in 3 movies, and at that time the movies were in black and white, and the actors were silent, so he played in the silent movies. And so he did so much, but regretfully in a very short time, because in 30s there was a time of early Stalinism, and before 33, in 1933, the Soviet government, they just started to repress all the new revolutionary poets, all the writers of the new times, and just 3 years before this repression, he started to feel that government doesn't like him anymore, he doesn't serve the revolution, he doesn't serve the people anymore, and nobody published him. He was forbidden to go abroad, and he used to go abroad for so many times, and suddenly in 26 or 27, starting from this point, a single time he wasn't able to leave the Soviet Union. So he felt it, and in 1930 he decided to make the exhibition called 20 Years of My Activities, 20 Years of Creativity. There were no, even a single leader, even a single official person didn't visit his exhibition. For him it was a Great Depression at the time. On top of this, Lilia Brick with her husband Joseph, they came abroad, they were allowed to go abroad, they went abroad. And his young lover, she didn't want to divorce her husband, and she rejected his demands to stay with him. And all of this put him into such depression that he killed himself in the age of 36. So it's a story of a time. Probably, like this, history doesn't tolerate probably, but probably if he didn't kill himself in 1930s, probably in 1933 he will be shot by the government. But after his death, his lover Lilia Brick, she wrote to Stalin, and 6 years later Stalin said, signed the resolution that Mayakovsky was a great poet, and everybody started to publish him. So he got extremely famous, and for Stalin it was okay because he wasn't alive anymore. And then they started to publish him, but very selectively, because lots of his poems, it's literally not for publishing. And I found one of them, and then I started to read it aloud just to train, and my mom said, no, it's not for your YouTube subscribers. So I'm sorry guys, I've been censored. Yes, 21st century, but I've been censored by my mom who is watching my videos. So I will read a poetry for children, very good one. Everybody knows it, and it's extremely famous. I hope you would enjoy it. Don't forget about your likes and subscribe for the channel if you are not with me yet. Okay, let's do it together. Владимир Маяковский. Что такое хорошо и что такое плохо. Крошка сын к отцу пришел и спросила кроха, что такое хорошо и что такое плохо. У меня секретов нет. Слушайте, детишки. Папы этого ответ помещаю в книжке. Если ветер крыши рвет, если град загрохал, каждый знает, это вот для прогулок плохо. Дождь покапал и прошел, солнце в целом свете. Это очень хорошо и большим, и детям. Если сын чернее ночи, грязь лежит на рожице, ясно, это плохо очень для ребячей кожицы. Если мальчик любит мыло и зубной порошок, этот мальчик очень милый, поступает хорошо. Если бьет дряной драчун слабого мальчишку, я такого не хочу даже вставить в книжку. Этот вот кричит, не трожь тех, кто меньше ростом. Этот мальчик так хорош, загляденье просто. Если ты порвал подряд книжицу и мячик, октябрята говорят, плоховатый мальчик. Если мальчик любит труд, тычет в книжку пальчик, про такого пишут тут. Он хороший мальчик. От вороны карапуз убежал заохав. Этот мальчик просто трус. Это очень плохо. Этот, хоть и сам свершок, спорит с грозной птицей. Храбрый мальчик. Хорошо. В жизни пригодится. Этот в грязь полез и рад, что грязна рубаха. Про такого говорят, он плохой, неряха. Этот чистит валенки, моет сам галоши. Он хотя и маленький, но вполне хороший. Помни это, каждый сын. Знай, любой ребенок. Вырастет из сына свин, если сын свиненок. Мальчик радостный пошел и решила кроха. Буду делать хорошо и не буду плохо. That's it. That's our poem for today. Please let me know what is your favorite poem for children. What did you read as a child? In terms of poetry, I know that there are lots of fairy tales, but not that many poems for children. Maybe even can quote me a little bit something of your favorite. Thank you a lot for your watching, and thank you for supporting me on Patreon. I'm really so motivated to create more, to do more of these videos, because I have such a good support from my patrons. So if you like this channel, please consider to join my patrons on Patreon. You can find the link below this video. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to meet you very soon. Goodbye.